Welcome back to episode 2 of transforming my 1999 Honda CRV. So guys, in today's video what we're going to be doing is we are going to be replacing the factory head unit. I ended up deciding to go with the Pioneer AVH 1550 NEX just for the sheer fact that it keeps all the modern functions like Apple CarPlay and it still has a CD player. I didn't want to take away from the functions that exist, I wanted to keep and add to it. So, before we get in depth in this video, I am using some new recording software. I hope this sounds better than it's been in the past, I'm not sure. Also, huge thanks to my girlfriend. Very awesome for helping me with this. She spent well over a couple of hours helping me tear apart my car and install this new stereo, as well as do a bunch of other car stuff, so phenomenal for that. Thank you so much. Anyways, what we're going to get into doing today is I want to replace the lights in the AC control part of the dash with green ones to match my green dashboard lights and replace the stereo with a new modern stereo, something that will allow me to have more functions. There are a few issues that I need to address. The first thing is fitting everything. I need to make sure everything fits. I need to make sure that the stereo can connect to the harness. This stereo does not have an amp inbuilt into it, but the other stereo did have an inbuilt amp from the factory, so that might pose an issue. I also have some new speakers which I'm going to be putting in the front door and eventually possibly replacing the back subs with those speakers just because they don't need so much power to drive, which I think will be nice. Although there are a few issues. The tweeters in the A support are not working on one side, and on the other side they are very weak, so I'm thinking eventually those will need to be replaced, as well as the wiring to the speakers on either side is bad, so that wiring needs to be pulled out and replaced with some new wiring, and we also need to make sure we fit everything else that needs to be in there. So getting apart the dash, I decided that instead of just doing the rough way and prying off that front plate, which in the grand scheme of things I probably should have done, I ended up resorting to that after I had gotten the dash mounted fully and I needed to change something, so I ended up resorting to that. I chose the option of tearing the whole dash apart and using that so I could easily push out the center head unit area from the back. That is not the way I would recommend. I would just recommend taking the plunge and possibly scratching your dash by just prying it out the other way. It's the easy way. It's not worthwhile to tear the dash apart like that. But I did have to do it because I did want to clean out some areas in my dash. There are a few things that did not get cleaned at all and really should have been cleaned, but it's fine. And I also had to work on wiring a bunch of stuff up. This dash has not been apart. This car has not been deep cleaned in forever. The big thing was getting the wiring in. I also ended up hardwiring a radar detector, which is legal in my state, into my dash. And if I ever go to another state where it's not legal, I can just unplug it and not use it. I hardwired it into my dash to prevent from the clunkiness of having an adapter to run this and that and that. It just made the dash and interior of my car a lot cleaner. It'll also give me a bit of experience when in the future I want to wire up some new 9-volt sockets to the back seats so my passengers can have a bit more comfort. Anyways, back to what we're doing. As we're going, we are cleaning. This car is, like I said, very old, so as we're going, we're finding more and more parts that are basically breaking off in our hands. There's nothing we can do about it, and most of them are not essential, so we're not going to really worry about it. Once we have the dash fully apart, we're going to start working on getting that stereo out, that centerpiece, and it's relatively easy because most of the stereo and head unit that we're going to remove is mounted in that one centerpiece. So we only have to really worry about that. So we're going to pull that out and we're going to make sure that everything is clean like we said. We're also going to, while we have that apart, start routing our microphone for Apple CarPlay so that people can hear me well. And we're also going to route the USB port and the aux port. I ended up changing the location of the USB port from where I had it. I had it originally in the glove box with the aux port, but I found it would be better to put it in the small opening right in front of the shifter, because then I can plug my phone in and just put it down there, and it works out really well. I'm really happy with that. Another thing was, I learned this later, I did not wire at first a parking brake signal. which posed a lot of issues. Pioneer has implemented a safety system so that when you're driving, it will not let you watch videos, which is good. I fully support that. But it did serve a bit of an issue trying to get a backdrop in because I had no way to view the picture, so I could not really set it up so it would let me select it as the backdrop, which was a bit frustrating. But other than that, it was really awesome to set up. Once I started tinkering with settings, I changed the backlighting to green to match the green aesthetic of my car. I also did a few things with like date and time, made sure everything was set up right, as well as set up Apple CarPlay. The big thing is I did right now find that the sound was very, very quiet. I think that is because I have very high powered subs in the back, and that's where all my sound is coming from right now, because I have not put the new speakers in the doors. That is going to be episode 3 probably, but because of that I did have to adjust settings so that it was always on very loud, which is kind of annoying because I lost, I think, a good bit of sound quality to that. But it still sounds great and I'm very happy with it. A few notes for if you are going to do a mod like this. 1, make sure you have a trim before you start because the trim is actually very, very, very useful. 2, make sure the trim you get comes with a mount on the sides because the trim I ended up getting did not have a mount on the sides, so I still currently have zip ties holding my stereo in, which actually works really well. It's not going to move anywhere. It's not ideal though, so I think if you are going to do this, you do want to look into getting a mount that has those side panels so that it will actually screw in. The other things that I would recommend if you are going to do this is make sure that you do wire up your parking brake, and make sure beforehand you have some form of adapter or you have bought a factory plug so you can wire it up to the adapter that came with the stereo. One big note that did prove very useful is while I was wiring it up, there is 2 wires. There is on the Pioneer side of the harness, there is a orange wire with a white stripe which says it's for a dimmer switch, and then on the CRV side of the harness there is a full orange wire, and I believe that said it was illumination. Make sure you connect those 2 wires, the orange to the orange with a white stripe. Okay, so the radio is in, harness is done, we've got the bezel. The only thing is parking brake. I'm gonna try to do that now. Alright, so another progress update. The radio is fully in and installed. I have everything done with that, and I've wired up the brake pedal and was able to put on a custom back screen, which I'm really actually happy with. So I think I'm gonna call that done for the radio. All that needs to be done is the speakers need to be put in the doors, because currently I don't have any speakers in the front because the wiring's bad, and tweeters need to be fixed, but the back bases work really well. And this car came with a custom sound kit, not a custom sound kit, an upgraded sound kit, so it'll definitely be interesting. Now I'm just going to clean it all up, and I hope you all enjoyed today's video.